Welcome back to the Ginger Armada, where we sail into the deepest depths of fantasy. And like I said earlier, the DSV was not very happy with me when he found out that I had done a video on the Orville without him, because he likes the Orville as much as I did, as much as I do.
I introduced you to the Orville.
That's true. He did introduce me to the Orville. Speaking of liking things, y'all should hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Always feel free to leave me a comment as well. I'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, let's get into it. So today we decided that we're going to talk about...
Well, she's already talked about one of the ships, so we're going to go in a very different direction. Today, we're going to talk about the villains of the Orville. Not just the antagonists, because there are a few antagonists, but we're going to talk about the villains.
So I want to start off with, when he says he's an antagonist, I personally think he's kind of a villain, but I guess I could agree that he's also an antagonist. And this is Bortus. For most...
No, hold on, not Bortus. Bortus is the second officer of the Orville.
Oh, no, you're right,
His husband, Clyden, is the one you gotta hate.
My bad. I like Bortus. Bortus is A-okay. Honestly, I do really like Bortus.
One of the best characters.
He really is. Sorry, I meant Clyden.
Honestly, the actor is... You take a look at the character of Bortus and the way he is portrayed in the show, and he is a very fascinating study in straight man comedy. Because he's a very straight-laced, very, very serious character. It's not that he doesn't have a sense of humor or anything like that. He's just so very deadpan in his delivery.
Honestly, I feel like he does have a sense of humor, just nobody gets it because he's so deadpan.
Well, a very minor spoiler. You see Bortus do stand-up at one time.
It doesn't go over very well.
But the fact of the matter is, his comedic timing actually is brilliant. It's just a matter of his sense of humor is from mockless,
right?
And they have it's a different flavor of humor,
right?
Like just to quick 30-second tangent. There was a German talk show that had Robin Williams on. And Robin Williams, he tells a story later about how, Germans just don't have a sense of humor.
I'll take a seat.
And he's sitting here on this German talk show, and they say, Mr. Williams, why do you think that people describe Germans as not having a sense of humor? And Robin Williams, wisecracked, did you ever think you might have killed all the funny ones? And that German talk show host, without missing a beat, says, no. And later, you can tell Robin Williams doesn't think that was so funny, but you take a look at the context of that joke. Germans do have a sense of humor. But it's one of those things you have to see to understand. And you have to have an open mind for that humor to understand it. The Japanese have their own flavor of humor. And it's just, Mocklin humor is different. And Bortus's comedic timing, because a major component of comedy is timing. You have to time it right. And if you can manage to time it right, just about anything you do can be funny. I have gotten chuckles out of an entire room by, standing up and introducing the group I was working with and just shrugging at the right time. It's retelling the story doesn't, it's one of those you have to be there to understand it type deals.
Anyway, let's bring it back to...
How Bortus's husband
Clyden. Yes, we love Bortus. Bortus is fantastic. Clyden, however, you pretty much hate him. And
you hate him.
Okay, I do. I do hate him throughout most of the series. In the third season, okay, I will admit in the third season he gets a little bit better. I still, because I've hated him for so long, I have conflicting feelings about him still. But
I look at Clyden, and Clyden is an example of a man who is the product of nurture.
Mm.
It is absolutely everything about Clyden. He is a product of nurture. And he has been raised to be a racist, sexist bigot.
Yes. And this gets more people, and this gets people hurt and in trouble in the series, though.
He absolutely crosses a lot of lines.
Yeah.
But the cultural context of Mockless, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
This is true, because if y'all don't know, Mockless is a male,
It is a patriarch.
Yeah, it's a patriarchy. There are very, very few females there. And if they are there, they're basically not.
Well, no, it's not so much that there's very few. The fact of the matter is,
true.
Mocklins are hermaphrodites.
Right.
They have both male and female reproductive organs. And if it does not actually reproductively functionally matter what gender you end up being, then they obviously go for the objectively more physically capable males, and they, this is a minor spoiler, but they will surgically at birth modify female children, female infants, to then become male.
Not all of them, though. There are females, but they're in hiding, because otherwise they would be.
Because of that cultural practice.
Right. Hey, Skish, come here, please.
Come here, Kaka. Come here, little Chica.
But yeah, so it is very much a male-dominated community. Also, this is a little bit of another spoiler. Clyden was actually born a female and had the surgery to become a male. So I feel like this is also why he is so against females. And like females of other species too. He's very condescending and rude, and he's a complicated character, but for most of the show, I just hate him. I cannot stand him. Especially when they have their kid, and I don't know if we should spoil that part. But
leave that. Let them have that part.
I'll let you have that part.
But my deal with Clyden is you have the cultural context of everything the man does, and he's given the context of his culture actually being pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is his culture is unreasonable.
Yes, absolutely. But Bortus, he's much more open-minded. So.
But the thing about Bortus is he has had a lot of that cultural. He has been forced to see that his female colleagues, first off, if you're gonna get out there and gonna absolutely disrespect your coworkers, if in a military context, they are going to beat that out of you.
This is true.
So Bortus has had some realigning because of his profession.
True.
Clyden is not of that profession,
True.
so he has not had that realigning.
Clyden is not on the crew. He's just there as Bortus's spouse.
Yes. Yeah, the thing about the Orville is you're out there. Now, the Orville is both a military ship, but predominantly, I'd give it a 70-30 split.
As crew.
It is an exploration vehicle, but they do have absolute military discipline on that craft.
Right.
They absolutely that it is a military vessel that is predominantly used for exploration.
Right. Which is why they can have the families and stuff on there. And they do they even have school for the kids and stuff like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, they have instructors for the children. They have medical facilities. They have everything they need. They have holodecks.
I try it.
The balloon's ruptured, kid. Ain't gonna inflate.
But yeah, so Clyden is probably the one that I despise the most. Well, the next one we're going to talk about I despise a lot too, but also Clyden is more in your face than this other one, than the other villain.
Except this other villain, because, there are antagonists, but there are, the two characters we're talking about today. Clyden, you give the cultural context, he's been raised to be a bigot. He absolutely goes out of his way to cause harm to people.
I'm really upset that he broke up. Was it Talia?
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but the security officer and that other Mocklin
and the
dude.
Mocklin engineer, the Mocklin who was attracted to females.
Yeah, and he got him arrested.
That's a small spoiler there.
Yeah, sorry.
But it wasn't any of his business. He was just doing that because of the Mocklin way.
Yep.
But honestly, I think that Mocklin engineer.
Well, and the Mocklin engineer was like the best of the best.
Yeah, he was one of their finest minds.
And so because I keep trying to say Boris. I don't know what. Clyden couldn't mind his own business. He took him out of that.
Had him shipped off home for, what do you call it? Correctional therapy.
Yeah. Which is just...
Which is, you take a look at the context and all that. Like, you have an actual, an actual out-and-out sexist society where the biological requirement of females is non-existent, so there is a deeply ingrained cultural it's too deep a subject to get into in all this, but bottom line, Clyden is an asshole.
Pardon his French.
For cultural reasons. You get the context, and it's like, oh, man, these Mocklins ain't not the... These Mocklins are the friend you have so that you don't need an enemy.
Skish. Okay, that's just...
What you doing over there, little chica? And why are your lips silver all of a sudden?
No.
You don't know?
Tell me that ain't nail polish.
No.
So I'm not told it ain't nail polish.
No.
I don't think it is. No, because that's right here.
No.
So.
Anyway.
Meow.
Yeah, so the other villain.
Yeah.
Like the other actual out-and-out villain. There's someone that there is no justification for their actions whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. They are objectively a villain. Is one of the first three characters you encounter in the show.
Yep.
Yeah, there's Captain Mercer. There's First Officer Kelly. What is her last name?
I don't remember.
Because we always call her Kelly. But
yeah.
Grayson?
Yes, I believe so. Kelly Grayson? That sounds right.
Something along those lines.
And the blue dude, whose name was what?
Derulio. I remember that name with a great deal of hatred because, honestly, he's the kind of guy, if I caught him in a dark alley, I would accept whatever prison sentence I got. So, some spoilers about this Jody. Because he ain't a Chad, he ain't a Tyrone, he's a Jody. He knows very well that the woman he is seducing is a married woman.
Mm-hmm.
He knows very well that this woman he is seducing, that if it were not for him, would be a loyal, devoted, happy wife. This woman that he is seducing, if it weren't for the fact that his species has a certain, they have a cycle like cats.
Yeah.
A reproductive cycle like cats. And when it is their time to breed, they emit pheromones that are actually irresistible. They will, minor spoiler, take ancient feuding species and force them to be amorous towards each other. So so the first time he shows up and ruins these two people's lives, you get the context of it, he never actually confirms, but given the context, he absolutely confirmed that he was in his heat cycle.
Right.
And all it takes is a touch, and all of a sudden, this man, this blue twig of a Jody, this worthless excuse of a man, he's obviously of a different species, so I can't, use the language human being, but given the context, male, female, binary, all the rest of that, man, he is a disgusting, worthless excuse of a man who goes and he basically drugs people.
Yeah.
He drugs people into liking him.
Yep.
Now we're getting a light show. He drugs people into his bed, whether they would have consented to it or not.
Yeah.
And then he absolutely destroys people's lives in ways that he doesn't ever answer for the consequences for.
Right.
Like there are alienation of affection laws for a reason. Like you have someone who would be a devoted, happy wife, but she and her husband are going in a rough patch, and this Jody shows up.
Because Kelly and Ed were in a rough patch.
They were in a rough patch, but they would have worked it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like let's give them the context. Edward Mercer was grinding, working hard. He was doing everything he could to gain. He was furthering his career as much as he could.
Right, and both of them felt a little bit neglected because I think Kelly was working pretty hard too.
Kelly was working pretty hard too. Like they were both working out there. Like if they were able to get past, if they were able to just this rough patch, it's going to be tough. But we are getting, both of us laying the foundations of our career, and then after this, we are free and we can finally be together the way we have wanted to be.
Right.
See, this is one of the reasons why I argue with men getting married too young. Because when you are young is the time when you need to establish your career. I'm trying to brush my hair, kid. You keep on stealing the brush from me.
All right, let's keep it on the Orville, though,
But
for
anyway.
now.
But, Edward was grinding, getting his, laying the foundations of his career. So is Kelly. But this Jody Derulio shows up and sees a married woman. He sees a female that he's like, you know what? I think I will.
Right.
And then he objectively drugs her with a mind-controlling narcotic. It is addictive.
Right.
They have to have more. And then he rides off in the sunset, and all his victims ever know is that they sure did feel something powerful for that guy.
Right. Ed actually feels it later on in the series too.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I guess that helps him understand more what happened between him and Kelly, because he gets the full effect of the pheromones as well.
Yeah, when Rulio targets him.
Yes.
When they're in the middle of in the middle of a critical peace talk, and this Jody, this absolute worthless waste of space and nutrients, decides that instead of showing up, doing his job, hey, he knows what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on. And what does he do?
Distracts the captain.
He drugs the captain.
Well, yes, he drugs the
with
captain.
a powerful
pheromone drug.
With a powerful, it's a mind controlled drug.
Yeah.
It's a mind controlled drug.
Yeah.
And he drugs the captain of a naval vessel that is the platform for a critical peace talk between two enemy nations.
Mm-hmm.
They were the third party. DeRulio showed up, and it was because of his expertise that they were going to decide the fate of an entire planet. And this playboy jackass decides he wants to be. This playboy Jody, decides he's more interested in getting his rocks off than being a responsible professional whose expertise has been called on to decide the fate of an entire planet and potentially the outcome of whether or not two entire species were going to war.
Right.
And he decides he wants to get in the captain's bed instead of focusing on his job.
Yeah.
Instead of being responsible and informing people, hey, I have a condition, I cannot make direct physical contact.
That would have been the.
Or in case there was physical contact, hey, I've got a spray. Hey, I got a spray for that. You're going to feel some effects, but this spray is going to fix it. I do apologize for any inconvenience. There you go. Problem solved. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have been any skin off anyone's eye.
Right.
Hey, I've got a condition. I'm emitting some powerful pheromones. Do not make close physical contact. And if you do, I've got a spray for that.
Yeah. That would have been.
Or just wear gloves.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been smarter and
like me,
less hazardous for everyone.
Like me. My hand looks kind of funky nowadays, don't it? With some kind of infection, I'm not entirely sure what, but I just explain to people, hey, I'm not sure what this is on my hands, so I'm going to refrain from shaking your hand. And people don't take offense. It's like, oh, that's weird.
It looks a lot better than it did, though.
Yeah, I've been taking care of it. I should probably put that ointment on today.
Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, this one's. It looks really good, honestly.
Yeah, no. The tan on the parts that are funky is gone, but
yeah.
And this part ain't so messed up. But yeah, it's a little embarrassing. It's a little inconvenient to have to explain that fairly regularly. But hey, I have a condition. Like it doesn't even have to be the species. His entire species doesn't even have to say, "Hey, this is the thing about our species." It could just be when each individual. Why are you chewing on that? We can get you other chew toys, Chica.
And you're getting tickles. But yes, it would have been much better for everybody involved if the species had something like that.
Yeah, it just showed some actual professionalism and common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Professionalism, courtesy, and common sense. Because the only example of this species. Actually, no, I think that we see some senators in the Union Hall.
Yeah, I think so.
But the only example we have any personal interaction with
is him.
Leads to devastating, leads to cataclysmic disruptions because they are, this particular person is just so self-centered. They're literally more interested in just getting their own rocks off than showing professional courtesy, showing some common decency, and then leaving everyone else to hold the bag for the consequences of his own actions. If I encountered that character in a dark alley, I would accept the jail time.
I know you would.
That guy needs some consequences for the absolute.
It's a good thing he's fictional then,
Good
huh?
thing he's fictional.
But yes.
That poor guy who played the. Not Anthony Hopkins, the guy that played the other psychopath in Silence of the Lambs, puts the lotion on his skin and gets the hose.
I have no idea. I've never seen it.
Yeah, well, the actor who played the other psychopath in that movie, that poor guy, he's an actor, he did his job, and for the rest of his life, he just keeps on getting all kinds of people that don't trust him because he played that character so brilliantly.
Honestly, that says something for his acting skills, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like the guy that played the not the Mad King, the little turd in Game of Thrones.
Again, haven't seen it.
Good. that show.
Sorry for all you Game of Thrones fans out there. I just not interested.
Yeah, I don't know. If the only reason to watch your show is boobs,
Yep.
nah, and then of course there is Conan the Barbarian, but that's unapologetic about exactly what it is.
All right, we should probably start wrapping it up because I gotta go.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the actual objective villains.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, one of them, he's a product of his species.
Right. It doesn't make me like him anymore because I just, again, in the third season, he
straightens out.
He does, but he's still just, I just still have conflicting feelings about him because for most of the season, most of the series, I just absolutely hated this man. But
as for Derulio, well, the only thing he did to redeem himself was he got out of there.
Right.
He left everyone alone.
Yeah.
Frankly, I really wish he had been arrested and charged for his crimes, because that he drugged and just assaulted 2 different union officers that we are aware of.
Right.
And he obviously makes a habit of it because of how unapologetic he was both times. Yeah, he gets his fun and he leaves everyone else holding the bag. And he does not care about what consequences other people face for his actions.
Yeah.
He needed to be arrested. He needed to be charged. The only reason why he got away with it the second time you see him is because if they did, they would have had to reveal what other shenanigans. But the bottom line, well, at the same time though, it would have also been just all the different mess that they had to deal with in that episode was exclusively his fault.
Right.
If Captain Mercer had been on the ball instead of high,
Right. He would, yeah. Because Captain Mercer, when he is on the ball, he is on the ball. He is good.
he's a professional.
But, yeah, absolutely.
He's absolutely, unequivocally a professional.
Right.
But the Derulio shows up, drugs Kelly, drugs him.
Yep.
So there you've got both of the senior most officers on the ship that are compromised. Oh, and on top of that, because he stepped in Yaphet.
Uh-huh. Yep, that's right. So
Yaphet wasn't affected, but the chief medical officer did get affected.
that was awkward. That was really awkward.
Ooh, boy.
That was, anyways, on that note. I've got to run an errand, so I think that we're gonna call it quits for today. Thank you so much for joining me again, DSV. I'm sorry we haven't had him on as much lately. The past 2 weekends,
She's actually been letting me sleep.
Yeah.
She woke me up again, by the way.
I did wake him up again. But yeah, the past 2 weekends we've just kind of been chilling on the weekends, so
And letting me sleep.
and letting him sleep. But
Which I do appreciate.
You're welcome. But we will try and have him on more often. Anyway, so for now, I will see you tomorrow. And for now, we are going to weigh anchor and take our shore leave.